be turned in via email, but I would prefer you just send them via email if you have it that way. Do you have it as a file?
No, I just have them here right now.
Okay, I'll take that then. That's fine.
You want? I mean, I can. I don't know. I just wanted to prove to you that I didn't.
Sure, that's perfect. Like, so you're saying you have the file at home that you could email later?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just.
Yeah. Just show me what you got now. You won't have any late penalty. That's no problem.
Wait, you were supposed to email these?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I have it written down. Can I email it?
Show me that you have it, and then you can email it to me.
Here's,
Syllabus is always your friend.
this is
Oh, I see. You've got it right.
cases. And then I have the last two cases, but I'm going to email them to you just to. I do not know.
Fine. Take a picture, send it to me. That's just fine. Although you will want to type them at some point so that you can share it with your peers, right?
I think I'm just going to type them up.
I would recommend.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
I have it like that
Same
as
story?
well. Yeah.
That's good. So, but you don't have the file, or do you?
I
have the
do.
file?
Yeah. I can
Okay.
send it.
Email that to me. Yep. But you're good grade wise. Oops.
We were like, yeah, I'll do the questions. It'll help you because you know who he is. Like, I just my first time assignment.
Same. Oh, right. Yeah. Perfect. So either I would recommend you just type it up because you'll have to type them up sooner or later.
Okay.
Does that work?
Mhm.
Okay. You're good grade wise though. Thank you.
Just basically do make balls. Just basically do I'm gonna go home and go to the Lord. So can be happy.
Right.
What I do? Yes. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Oh yeah. I was like a sixth grader. I'm always
Oh.
everything from TV, media, newspapers, social media.
Sorry about that, by the way. I'm sorry. I was literally looking at that down.
Yeah, I saw that one thing. I saw that.
Hey, you gotta email it.
And I saw something in South Korea, and I'm like, so.
See, I was gonna start talking.
What about, image from
My grandmother was an elementary teacher. Whichever one it is, they got close to me on that.
Hey.
I forgot to email it to you. Can I show you?
Same story. Yeah. So you're good for the grades 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. So yeah, just type those up and send them to me today. Ideally
So you want me to
tomorrow.
read? You want me to type them or take pictures?
I would sooner or later you have to type them, right? To share them with one another. So I recommend you just type them down and have it done. Same story. Yep, good. Those are good length, right? So yeah, type those up and you'll be set. Oh, good. Caitlin's here. Perfect. You can. Oh, and oh. So let me just ask, can you hear me talking right now?
There's a lot of cases that,
But it sounds like it. We keep the same phone.
Hey.
I just want to show you that
Uh-huh.
I did it. I'm
Uh-huh.
trying to email it to you.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure you know that I did it.
Okay. Yep. No, that's fine. Okay, good. So in that case, instead of participating via Twitter, there's no need for that. You can just talk through the chat on here. That's just fine. This is gonna be really weird. Like really weird.
And my American.
$10. They will pay you $10.
They will not let you back into this country.
That's right. You can't come home, but $10. Maybe I'll put you over here. Okay, here's a test. Caitlin, can you hear me talking from over here? Let's try that.
I forgot some people are coming to class.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm not just talking to the computer. I mean, I kind of am just talking to a computer, but.
Marissa said that she never found it. She texted me.
Text her again. Tell her the link is up. Definitely.
Y'all always trying to take my phone.
You asked him to send me the link to the screen. I never found it.
Tell her if she goes to the in case of coronavirus part of the Blackboard, the link is supposed to be right in there.
So whatever decision us four make,
Okay, perfect. Hey,
So I just learned out.
that's okay. I see that you have it. Okay, it's all there. Email it. Yep,
Thank you so much.
perfect. You bet. Okay, that's no problem. Yeah, okay. Marissa should be dropping in there before too long. I can't remember who the other folks were. I'll go look. Okay, since I'm a little behind dealing with setting this up, I'm just gonna call roll as terrible an experience that may be. Just let me know if you're here. Abby or Abigail, Caitlin is here. Chandler, Cheyenne, Dustin, no Emily, Gina.
Hey.
Oh, there you are. Good. Hannah. Hannah, no second Hannah. No Hannah Hughes. That's the nice way to say that. Himani. JP. You're here, right? Jorge. Yes, sir. Josie. You're here. Juliana. No Juliana. Kelsey. No Kelsey. Kendall. No Juliana. Kelsey. No Kelsey. Kendall. Logan. Luke. Marissa. Marissa should be coming through there. Makai, Natalia, Olivia, Roosevelt, no Roosevelt, Tiana, and no Vanessa. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Let's see, who all's here now? Oh, Emily's here. That's right, Emily's coming in through here. Marissa, Kendall. We're all here. Everybody is here virtually or in person. That's fantastic. Okay, good. Hi, welcome. This will be weird the whole time. Everybody else is here so that you can feel at home. Here you go. There's everybody in class. Yeah. Oh, what a happy family we are. Okay. So, today, first, we should probably talk about the assignment, right? Most of you, I think, emailed it to me, which is great. If you haven't emailed it yet, email it immediately. Did anybody else print it out and bring it in person? Okay. Show me. Yeah, I talked to you guys. Dustin, just bring it to me at the end of class. Show me that you have it, and then email it to you. Okay. And then in the future, email things, please. Email is going to be really helpful. Okay. Second, Today, our goal of the last class is continued into today. We are going to focus on identifying legal liabilities and addressing them. Except today, we're focused on two more practical examples, right? We're getting down into the nitty-gritty, looking at things that are about to be published, and then making sure that we don't see any liabilities. For those liabilities that we do identify, deciding what to do with them, and then at the end of all of that, deciding whether or not or how we might defend ourselves if we get pulled into court. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions or anything else that we need to talk about before we dig into the stuff we're doing today? Yeah, Jorge.
Is there a way, not in a hyperbolic or in a like a joking way, to put something in something posted like when in that commercial or that ad that said this is a joke? Is there something that could be stated like that, maybe in an opinion piece, like this is an opinion, that could just right away protect someone from maybe trying to find a libel statement in there? You know?
Well, that's a good question. Let's talk about that. Like, what was it about the Falwell ad, right? The parody. What was it about that actually made it safe? That made it libel proof?
Said this is a parody not to be taken seriously.
Was that what made it safe? That's what actually made that legally defensible. In fact, that just made it clear, perfectly clear. It just exaggerated what was already true, which was that the stuff in the Falwell ad was so outrageous as to be impossible for anybody to take it seriously, right? That alone, that disclaimer alone, would not be outrageous, and you still tack that on there, you would not be safe. You would not be safe. It's the same with an opinion. Just because you state a fact, and before you state that fact, you say, this is just my opinion, right? This is just my opinion, but Josie robbed the bank last week, right? That does not change the fact that I have slandered her. And oh no, I libeled her. We're being broadcast, right? So this is a broadcast. You now sue me for libel, even though I said it was my opinion. Because a statement of fact is not an opinion, whether you state it as such or not. It is still a fact. It's still provable, true or false. Okay? Okay. Any other questions? Anything else we should talk about before we move on? No. Okay, good. I have to get very close to you guys so that I can see whether or not you have any questions. Okay. So let's move on to the stuff we're going to talk about today. If you're joining us virtually, there's a file posted online, and I'll explain to you all how you're going to discuss this, but for everybody in the room, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand out some examples, okay? There are 3 examples in here. I don't want you to move ahead until we're all ready to talk about them together, okay? So please contain your enthusiasm. Just look at the article on the front of this handout, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hand this out. I want you to read it. Then I want you to find a part. Do I want to make people move? Yes. I'm going to make people move. I'm going to make people move around, okay? I'm going to put you in triads, and you're going to work with those 3 people, okay? You're going to read this first example, and then the first question that you're going to ask, I won't make you move until after you've read this. The first question that you're going to ask is, are there any legal liabilities here? How you determine whether something is a legal liability or not, you're going to have to figure that out, right? You're going to have to remember what we talked about last class, okay? So I'm going to start by handing these out. Here you go. Here. You for down there. And more. You for the top. So once you have this, read this carefully. Carefully read the article that's on the front of this handout.
Would you play? I played tennis. I played golf. I was.
Okay, we'll have to figure something out for that. For you guys, what you want to do, this is posted on Blackboard, okay? I want you to follow along in the same way. So they're going to be working independently. It won't matter so much that you can't hear them right now, but I want you to read this, and then I want you to work together in this space, in this chat room. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to try and make it work. We're going to see how it works, and if you hate it, we'll change it if we have to do this in real life. But talk about whether you guys see legal liabilities in the okay? And I'll be back here in just a second to see if you guys specifically have any questions.
I knew he acted like this.
Oh, yeah.
I knew it.
Okay, I'm gonna go around and number you off. If you're still reading, that's just fine. Chandler, what did I tell you about looking ahead in the handout?
No, I was just.
You troublemaker, you.
More.
No, it's sorry, it's just on the front. It's just on the front.
We these?
Yeah, it is yours, please. I encourage you to write on it. Okay, I'm gonna number you off. How many people? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 divided by 3 is not a round number, but we can get close. What? 6, 12, 18? Okay, we're gonna go 1. How should I do this to get people split up?
6 groups of 3.
I'm gonna go 1, 2, Makai 3, 4, 5, 6. Jorge 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I number you?
Yes.
5, 6. Did I number you?
2.
Oh, you're 2. Okay. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Get with your number, and I want you to together identify where any liabilities are. And remember, what makes for a legal liability in the world of libel is anything that's a potentially libelous statement. Okay? Just work on that first step, and then we're going to talk about it together. Okay?
1.
Are you guys clear on what the instructions are?
Number 1. Let's go.
How you doing?
I'm bored.
I'm Gina.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, where are the three?
All right, let's talk about.
2 and 3? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Okay, so yeah, just read that over, and then I guess individually see if you can find any liabilities, and then if you see anything, you might just copy and paste it here into the comment thread, and then talk about whether everybody agrees on whether or not those are liabilities. Okay? Have at it.
You're one?
Yes. You're 1?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm just trying to
Like, I think I'm gonna grab this chair.
Okay, so my question number 1 is, if it's a statement.
Can I use this? So we're all not using
The chair? Sure.
Like a fact, or a statement of fact?
Yeah.
Is that
We'll
what
work
we?
on it.
It looked like they just copied what he's saying, huh?
Right, so they would be protected, the reporters posting this would be protected by the,
Yeah.
what is it?
So clearly they seem like they got
Yeah,
source.
they just kind of overheard the discussions.
Was it them that heard it, or they just had a source? I don't think I saw.
That's the question. Who got it?
Huh? Of course. Libel stuff.
He didn't instigate the discussion? Okay, so
Oh,
above.
female staff heard it.
5, I remember. So, where, Amani, where? Oh, there you go. How are there 3 people in your group? Are you guys a group of 2? Okay, I must have missed count. Fancy, can you work with Olivia and Tom? Huh? This is not your group. This is a different thing. Oh, that's possible. I don't know. Here's your handout.
Did it say anything?
Okay.
No,
It's what could
it's
be
libelous.
libelous.
You're looking around, you're like,
I didn't know y'all moved around.
I think the quotes could be libelous.
oh, you were asking about these people.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as when he said you can.
Yeah, you can suck my dick, fuck you. I'm thinking everything that's in quotes.
You don't know the actions.
Trying to find
Exactly,
any
that's my
liabilities and
point. But
clearly
the statement
identify
said
them.
that, which is why that could be libelous. Basically, anything that could be wrong here could be libelous. Or anything that, you know, could be defamatory.
Maybe you need to retire. Maybe they actually said you need to get hired.
And again, I don't expect you to know whether something is true or false. You're just looking for things that could be true or false, things that you need to double check on.
Yeah, anything you need double checking. I mean, that's kind of basic indicator for which statement here could cause harm.
Well,
Anything quoted could cause harm.
and the fact that they said in this last paragraph that he should not, you know, a city elected official should not be tolerated. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
so it's like on
This
Come
type of
for his
behavior,
job.
yep.
so they put their own opinions in this as well. according to the resolution.
But I mean, that's an opinion.
Most definitely.
City council finds that it is necessary to reinforce this type of behavior. Yeah, that could all be proven right. From first glance, I mean, obviously it depends if this is actually what was said, but it would look like.
Then it could be.
Didn't he say you need to always
Precise.
what he is?
Huh?
What's the attorney?
How much longer do we need? 2 minutes?
Yeah, you gotta.
2 minutes? You guys need 2 minutes?
Well,
2
he
minutes
said like
enough?
it's written
2
down,
minutes? Does
city
it seem like a good amount of time?
Oh, okay.
Well,
For the
Tyrone
whole
Cooper isn't the one.
No, just for the first story. Just the first
It would
story.
be.
Shoot for 2 more minutes. 2 minutes.
But it is important to highlight the fact that you need a.
He is a counselor.
No, just the front. Just, we're gonna look at that example. We're only concerned with the front for now.
That he's a attorney, but the the guy who you really want to get here is Getz, because that's the one who's trying to be being censored. So to clarify, hopefully you've got all of them underlined, or all of the ones you think are underlined. And here in just a minute, we're going to talk about which ones we think together should be underlined. Just as the liabilities. We don't know whether they're true or not.
Only way it could be liable is if he's saying that he didn't say this.
Yeah, if it's just false. Let's see what Prop says.
All these things he said.
I'm not, in real life, I'm not surprised.
This is around us. This happened relatively like last week, like 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah, he was
Very
censored
cool.
last Tuesday.
very cool.
He's a super cool guy. Yeah. Old Mr. Getz.
Hey, Mr. Getz yells some stuff, gets in trouble for it. We learn about it. Whole
In
system.
real life.
Because it's statement by every.
Oh,
I was so locked in. So locked in on that. I love what you do.
say about 30 more seconds. Wrap things up.
Who else you got? Nada.
I agree.
It's hard not to be nosy and look at this other page. Killing me.
I'm just creating a sense of anticipation. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that is not my strong
I
suit.
can't wait to just be looking at stuff with my mom and being like, that's libelous.
Or potentially libelous at least.
Potentially libelous.
If I were them, I would strongly caution them to change the word. Okay, so let's all talk together. I'm gonna do a somewhat awkward thing here, and that is when you say something, I will probably echo it so that they can hear a little more clearly, because our partners online have mentioned that they're having trouble hearing your questions through the computer. So let's start here. We're only asking, where are the liabilities and what specifically are they, right? So let's start at the beginning of this article. What do we think are the liabilities? What's the very first one?
Well, what he said, you can S my D.
Okay, so we have the quote. So is there anything before that that's a true or false? Let's just ask that.
Well, he is a city councilman.
Okay, so that's exactly the example that I wanted to bring up. If that's something that is true or false, why are we not worried about that in terms of libel?
Because it's true.
Well, so what if we didn't know that it was true? Why would we still not be worried about libel in this?
Because we could
Right.
find it out.
Well, that's true, but it's not defamatory, right? If you incorrectly identify me as a council member,
We could
Right.
find it out.
well, that's true, but it's not defamatory, right? If you incorrectly identify me as a council member, it does not hurt my reputation, it might elevate it, right? So we're not concerned with that statement. However, we are concerned with whether or not he said these two quoted statements, these 3, 4, 5 quoted statements, right? All of these. Why are these liabilities? Why are we concerned about this? Chandler, hand
Because
up.
he could say, oh, I didn't say that, you're lying, but you're making that up.
Right, because they could be false, and he can certainly claim that they're false, right? So we need to be able, even though the burden of proof is on him if he wants to sue us, we still want to make sure that we have a reason for saying these things, right? If we're going to claim that these things were said, we at least need to have a strong defense behind us. So those are definitely liabilities. Is there anything else in here that might be a liability?
Well, I feel like towards the end, that is jeopardizing his job, and they're even putting their opinion on the fact that his behavior was unacceptable, and it should be tolerated.
So are those potentially libelous statements?
Well, I would think so, because it's hurting his image and his career, and they actually persuading people to probably, what's the word I'm looking for?
Look at him differently?
And what they impeach him.
Right, and in this case, censure or recall him, right? Because those are the options available. They could recall him, and in fact, there's a petition started that will probably go nowhere to recall him. There's also the option to censure, which is exactly what they did last Tuesday, right? So, yes, if the resolution, they did censure him. Yep, he was censured for this. And he did not fight it, which is interesting. He said originally that he was going to, he didn't in the end. Makai?
Let's assume I don't know what censure is.
Censure, assuming, I know we all know what censure means, but if we didn't, right? To censure someone is to specifically call out something that they said, right? So especially for a legislative body, if you're censuring someone, it's a way of slapping them on the wrist.
So it
and
does
saying,
nothing, it's just like you said this, that's it.
but it does do something.
It's like a mark on your record, like, it's kind of like having a little red flag.
Yeah, Olivia says like having a red flag next to your name.
But
Exactly.
You're
It's
still in office.
you're still in office, but
Okay, so you're in office just with that red flag. That's beautiful.
right. However, it does change the way. Right? I assume that as you read this, you went, "Wow, he said that," right?
People say things.
Well, like, you always say
It
stuff
could
like
affect
that.
him on the next election as well.
Right.
That red flag.
Right. Those red flags, if there are many red flags, or if there's a really big red flag, they can make a difference, right? So it's not like significant action. What's that?
You know, like Donald Trump, he openly like will say all these red
Yeah,
flags.
all the red flags.
However, there's a big difference between national party politics, local, and personal. Two very different issues. They're very different issues. Now, I'm not saying that anything is going to come out of this censure, but it is a significant act when one from your community is called out for the things that they're saying. It does make a difference, right? Not an immediate impactful difference, but it matters.
Like he gets on Facebook and he burned on his Nike gear.
He did. He burned his Nikes, right? But that was not an attack on a member. That was a political act, right? And in terms of what we talk about in this class, that's probably not something that we would, even though we may disagree with it, that we would want censured.
Right, this person is like.
This is
different, right? Threatening a public employee is a different. Okay, but
and abusing his power.
we're getting a bit away from this particular example, okay? So we've identified some instances that we think might be libelous, okay? The next question is, what do we do with them? Okay? So this is what I want you to decide with your group is, how do you want to handle these, right? Let's say that they're all true. Right? That these things actually did take place, which is what happened. Decide how you want to handle it within your organization and have a justification for it. This has not gone to print. It has not been posted online. You can decide to make modifications. Well, I'll leave it up to you to identify what your options for action are and which action you want to take. Okay? So figure out how you want to respond to each of these. And second, let's think about if it does go to court, what your defense is going to be. Those two things. Okay, question.
Now, this is theoretically if these statements are true.
We're saying theoretically that these statements are true. We're saying that basically you, an editor, fact-checked this information, right? Because that's what we did. First, we flagged potentially libelous information. Second, we fact-checked it. Third, we're deciding how to act based on that information. Okay, so work with your group. How do you want to act?
The defense would just say that it's true, there's no libel.
He didn't necessarily commit a crime.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You can say, if you're in office and you say something.
Yes, they absolutely would. They absolutely would have to prove actual malice.
Yeah, they have to prove actual malice and anything was actually libel.
That's a decent option, right? Just think about what the implications are going to be if you decide to do that, and what your defense is going to be if it backfires on you.
If all these things are the thing that needs to be said is maybe you quote something here a little bit different just to avoid maybe the lawsuit even coming up. But because everything's true, if you want to keep this tone, or if you want to approach the sharing of this information this way, then keep it, it's gonna be protected.
Yeah, so they can't just.
He has no.
This person post this on trying to keep up. They ended up wrong with the show. He couldn't sue because it's true.
You could, when you can sue, but all that's gonna do is make you lose money.
I didn't expect to do that.
He would.
Be done.
I don't know, Janice.
I mean, we're like an editor.
Yeah, you guys are an editor. What changes would you make if you would make
I
any?
wouldn't make any.
You guys,
I mean, there's.
do you have defenses
Like,
lined
these
up?
quotes, you keep them
That's the
close
second thing.
and don't wander
Think
off.
about it. What if your decision backfires? Like, what if even despite your decisions, you get called in court within a year from being answer that.
And the main.
You think that stands?
defense
Just
would be
make sure to
our
discuss it,
sources.
make sure you're all. Same over with the other defense. You're playing, okay.
Right.
Because the door was wide
What
open.
can we do better? What can we improve on this? But, I mean, obviously.
I'll give you about 30 more seconds.
Well, I mean, we can't put anything more because we don't have any more information to put, but we're assuming that all.
Okay, folks, let's talk about this. We're the editorial board and we're deciding how we want to move forward with this. This, by the way, if there's ever like a really important news story or like crisis communication or something like this, this is what happens. People get together, they go, okay, there's a legal liability here. Now, how we approach this situation depends on how important we think the issue is, right? Because sometimes it's really important to recognize. Sometimes it is worth assuming legal risk in order to say something that needs to be said, right? So in this case, somebody raise your hand. How do you want to move forward?
Charge you nothing publishing as is.
Okay. Everyone agreed? Is it?
It's true. And so it doesn't pass the fifth step. So he has standing to sue, he's not gonna get anywhere.
Right. So this lawsuit will absolutely fall flat. You have
Dismissed.
complete, right. Now, one thing that we have to note is that even if we have an ironclad defense, right, we could still be sued. Depending on the issue, we may want to modify our statement to avoid, the possibility of having to go through a trial. In this case, I don't think there's any reason to change a word, right? Even despite that risk, I would move forward. However, let's assume that you are sued anyway, right? That Getz is a particularly litigious person. I don't think he is, but he could be, right? So what is our defense? What is going to be our first defense? Well, truth. Jorge said truth. Absolutely a defense that we can use. That's good. What else can we use?
Fair reporting, since we're voting city council.
Yeah, resolution, which means, or at least the agenda packet. All of that being public documents means that we can claim fair reportage. It's a pretty ironclad defense. And if it were me, I'd probably, if that failed, just try for anti-slap protection, because this would be a completely meritless claim of libel on this. Yeah. Okay. Hard to read this. We'll have to figure something out. Yeah. Chippy just asked whether fair comment and criticism would apply. No, it wouldn't. Since I suppose if he's a public official, like putting out a statement, but this wasn't a statement. This was him yelling at a coworker and in the process creating a hostile workplace environment, right? So no, that defense wouldn't be applicable here. Yeah. Any other questions?
Like, so if it's in a workplace environment, like the only reason like saving him from being fired is the fact that he's elected?
Oh, no. Any employees who feel like they're being persecuted under a hostile workplace environment, they have standing to sue him for that, if they wanted to, right? That is a separate issue from the First Amendment issue, but they could press on with a hostile workplace claim if they wanted to. It was brought up at the city council meeting. Well,
They're both attorneys.
it boils down to whether or not this, right, and so the fact that they're not pushing forward with it suggests that they don't think they have a very strong case at this point. But that could change over time, right? I mean, we don't know how isolated an incident this was. If this is prolonged, if the city attorney subjected to this sort of thing frequently, then he would have a stronger case. But who knows? That's separate from what we're concerned with here. Okay, let's look at the second example then. Same process. You can do the whole thing all in one fell swoop if you want to. Don't move on to the last article. Look at my Facebook post, okay? Let's say, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pretend like I got drunk and drafted this at 1:45 in the morning. But then I didn't push send. I waited until the next morning when I had a chance to, well, I don't know, I was pretty drunk. So this must be the next afternoon after I had time to sober up and think about my actions, okay? I haven't posted it yet. Are there any potential legal liabilities in here? How do you want to handle those liabilities? And if I'm sued, how are you going to defend me? What's going to be your strongest defense? Okay, so read this over. This, I did not type this, just to be clear. This is actually a social media post that was involved in a legal case. This is not a made-up example. Although they did not have the intelligence to pause and consider what they were typing before they pushed send.
This you?
This was not me.
Oh.
That's me up there pretending. This is a fake post, right? Because the real one was, of course, taken down because it was libelous. If they had left it up, they would have been at risk of being further liable for damages. Roosevelt, sorry. Hop in with any group. Any group. Yeah, bring this over and then Yes, Emily, you're 100% correct. Yeah. This would definitely fall under fair reporting. You have lots of defenses, right? You have truth, fair reporting, and probably anti-SLAPP because it's a baseless claim. So you're absolutely right. Weird. I hope we don't have to go to this full time. It's going to be really weird. If you have a question as to whether or not something is true or false, throw your hand up and I'll determine for you. In that instance.
You can probably get a mic from the studio.
To hook it up for everything.
Yeah, well, the USB in.
Yep.
The Dallas Police and County Task Force, so that's something that could be actually checked. I mean, obviously the police is gonna.
Did they know?
We're gonna say that's false.
There you go.
I would say that one is false.
Yeah. I think this guy is, I would just put this lightly.
But honestly,
Okay.
Sorry.
no, we were getting.
Okay,
We
got it.
didn't.
Yes.
We don't even know who he writes.
We don't even know who wrote this. So obviously,
It's just saying your group was a this person. One member was arrested for stealing from Beaumont while the
Or at least we can't prove it.
yeah, you could prove a lot of this stuff and it could be wrong and it's looking like he's angry about this. Probably wrong.
He didn't tag nobody in this.
Yeah, was this posted?
We get a sober reckoning of what we wrote the night before. We get to decide before we post it. But remember, we haven't posted it yet, so you still have time if you want to make some kind of change. So the fact that may be false, we can change that particular thing, and how you want to change it is up to you.
I don't know if this would be considered.
I'll give you 60 more seconds. 60 more seconds to go through this as much as you can
That would be
and figure out how to respond. Don't just identify the liabilities, but address them each.
Right.
Police station and the county record and task force and
Other
stuff.
than that, he
Right.
committed-
Didn't actually write this, but committing a robbery while he was a convicted criminal, that could be checked. Committed a robbery while
Oh, he said, right, was it the last?
first thing you gotta do as Mr. Warren when you wake up, probably hungover, is get all your facts right. Look over this and see if anything you say could be looked at as defamatory.
Okay,
He did say Frank was a city council.
let's come together now.
And Beaumont.
Yeah.
Let's come together and let's talk about first where the liabilities are, and second, how we want to respond. Look at me, look at me. Okay, so how do we want to move forward? First, let's look at where the liabilities are. Chandler, I see Olivia's hand up as well.
The liabilities are like all those claims.
So give me an example.
One member was arrested for stealing.
Whatever that raises, that's difficult, right? In this case, hands all over could mean a lot of different things, right? The degree of severity there is really unclear. But yes, both potentially libelous statements for sure. Anything else? Yeah, Tiana? Oh, I'm sorry, Olivia. Well, Tiana, I called you. Go ahead. Right, so it's definitely potentially libelous. Olivia, did we steal yours? Whether right, because now we're indicting the police, the Beaumont Police Department as well. Absolutely. Anything else? Okay, we've got a lot to work with there. Absolutely. Now I came around and told you some of these things are true and some of them are false, right? So Frank was a convicted criminal, and we could pretend that he was convicted of shoplifting or something like that long ago. Does that? Oh, that's kind of robbery. Let's say that he was convicted of public urination, because that's always a fun one. Okay. However, we're going to say he was not convicted of committing robbery, right? Although the way this is written, it never says that he was convicted of committing robbery, which is an interesting wrinkle. That comma is a very important comma. He was a convicted criminal, comma. He committed robbery. In this case, how did you decide to respond in the sober light of day? What did you want to do with this?
Scrap it, like, just completely, because even if you take out all of the stuff that's a liability, isn't worth posting as a council person.
So Olivia's decision is just to throw out the whole social media post altogether, right? And saying it just doesn't have much value. Gina?
I would, if I was him, I would be defending whatever they said about me that was fake. And also just only stating factual, making a factual comment and not over exaggerating this extra stuff that wasn't true. I would take out all the stuff that wasn't true and also defending myself if they saying that I did something wrong and I didn't.
Okay, so Gina's response is just to take out the false statements, right? Which is another option. Like, clearly, Councilman Ken Ward wrote this to defend himself against another fake supporter, apparently, right? Which means that he, at least while drunk, saw some need to stand up for himself. If, when sober, he still thinks that that's something worth doing, then it is something to consider, right? However, it may be that the correct way to address that is just to throw this out and start over with some other statement with a clear head. Yeah. Okay. So next question: what if we just leave it like this? What if we leave it like this and post it? Like what? Let's talk about what actually happened, which was somebody wrote this. And not Beaumont, but somebody wrote this and posted it. What's your strongest defense, Hannah?
Oh, no, I was going to ask who posted it, because I thought
it was not in Beaumont. Yeah, I think it was in Texas, but it's not from Beaumont. I'm going to pick on somebody who hasn't spoken yet. What's that? I heard somebody say.
Also, it's probably around Dallas.
Around Dallas. It was around Dallas. Yep. Oh, did I leave something Dallas in there? Yeah. Oops. Oh, Dallas Police and County. What do we, Hannah?
Okay, so this is kind of a stretch, but could you do the fair comment and criticism since you're kind of judging on other people, or would that not?
Probably not.
What about opinion?
No, because these are statements of fact. You couldn't get away with opinion here. What do you think?
That's just how the evidence that all about.
Okay. Yeah. That's if you can. Truth is always a defense, but assuming you can't get truth, like what is the strongest thing you have to bank on?
Would you claim like hyperbole, since the claims are so outrageous?
You could try. It wouldn't stand. Yeah.
If you try to prove that he didn't mean to actual malice,
This is going to be your strongest defense, and it's not a particularly strong one. But most of these people who are identified in here, since they are public officials or public figures, the standard of actual malice applies. So it's not a strong defense, but that's going to be the strongest of those 8, in this case, elements of libel for you to bank on, right? You're going to have to try and say, look, I didn't know any of this was wrong. Maybe I could have done more to look into it, but gosh, everybody was talking about this. It was taken for granted that it was true, so I just published it, right? Bad defense, but it's your strongest defense, right? So, moral of the story, don't post on Facebook when you're drunk. Just don't social media when you're drunk, okay? Last example, let's look at this last article, okay? How are we doing? We got 15 minutes. Well, that should be enough time, okay? I want you to read through this. This is an actual opinion piece that ran, I cut out the middle of it because it was too long, related to the sexual harassment claims against Aziz Ansari a couple of years ago, okay? Read through this, find the liabilities, respond to the liabilities, and then prepare a defense for yourself, okay? I agree with you. All that's right. Yep. Good.
Are we still looking at this video?
One quick note, in case anybody has not been writing anything down. Remember, I will be checking notes at the end of class. So you should be writing down the things that you want to share with the class, right? After you work through it as a group. You want to be writing. That's fine. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Sorry, I must have said that before you got into the channel. It's a good article. Bro.
Wait.
quiet. Make sure you're on the same page with your group, right? Before we talk about this.
Okay, first of all, I think Aziz Ansari is definitely protected from anything. Anyone who probably would sue because they were defamatory would be Grace, but she wasn't named personally, so she can't say it defamed her because her name wasn't used at all. There's a line that stood out to me in actress. Alleges narrowly escaping sexual assault.
Yeah.
This is just, I don't see no
You
line
have to be able to identify it.
at all. I mean, they
Like,
didn't.
you can't sue.
Wait, but she had an interview with
You
them,
see a
Who,
problem.
Lisa Nyong'o?
the girl.
Yeah, but her, I think is huge.
It's not making him look bad.
It's not, I mean,
Because
you
they
could argue, but
kind
here's
of
the thing.
defended him. Like,
Yeah, they are defending him, and when it talks about opinion pieces, she's doing fair reporting. She's just saying what the girl said, and when she says, despite his announcement of allegiance, it sounds, she could have said something like,
That's her.
she could have said, Ansari woefully ignored his homework. She could have just not said it down. She could have said, he ultimately did not take no for an answer. But she said, however, it also sounds. So that's what I'm saying. She Brawley wrote it well. She knew how to word things. She compared him to Weinstein, but like is not Harvey Weinstein's separation. So that's another way. Like if you were comparing him to Harvey Weinstein, then yeah, that would be defamatory. But it's separating the two, and it's.
oh no, I'm stretching. Sorry.
What did you think? This is an interesting topic because it's right. It's pretty accurate. But unfortunately, that's what it's come to. But did Ansari sue? I don't think he would have. Yeah.
Nope, he didn't touch it.
It was too well written.
It was. I enjoy this article. It's a very difficult issue, right? And I think this treats it with the nuance that it requires.
Right.
I
I think it was well written to the point. Like if you are Aziz Ansari.
What about? Let's talk about it. What do we think are the potentially libelous statements?
I mean, even if she did say things were like statement of facts and they go through the 7 things defamatory, she said some things that could put Ansari in a defamatory state, but everything that she states are facts is fair reporting because she is just stating what Grace told her happened at the date. So would she be protected through fair reporting?
So
Because
this is a good question, right? Because a lot rides on our answer to that. What do we think? Can we count some of this as fair reporting?
I mean, yeah, I would say because, just talking, like things that she's saying that couldn't be in fact come from that story. Like she's saying, Grace said that this happened. So she's not just pulling that on the air. She's like, and you can see the things that are underlying there, obviously. Links. So
Right.
those are links. Those are giving people an opportunity to actually go see that evidence for themselves.
Mhm.
So I think in that sense, it's fair play. But I don't think this is about the defamatory against. Oh, sorry, I think it's about the defamatory against. Grace.
It definitely could be.
Right.
I think so. Like technically, that's usually only applied to official sources. However, some states recognize it as applying to public statements as well, right? And so in that case, the accuser made these statements publicly, and therefore we have a right, or the reporters have a right to repeat them in the context of trying to share the statement that this person made. The question is she a public official or a public figure? And this is a case of bootstrapping, right? But it seems like she has bootstrapped her way up to being a public figure. Yeah. Question, yeah. So since she made a public statement, can we fairly comment on that claim? we could definitely comment on her claim. Whether it's therefore not defamatory to repeat the statement is a different question, right? Because fair comment, if something is defamatory, that does not give us license to repeat it. However, it does if we're talking about fair reporting, right? And that's why that is the defense that we want to lean on a little more heavily. Dustin.
So with this piece, a lot of it is just the publisher basically restating what the anonymous person said. But one of the things that I think is probably one of the bigger libelous statements on the back, where she says there's a whole spectrum between a bumbling, clueless lover and alleged predators like Weinstein and Trump. She goes from just re-quoting what Grace said and making that statement of fact herself, that Weinstein and Trump are both bumbling, clueless lovers and alleged predators.
Well, so here they've been very careful with the wording of the statement. Roosevelt? So yeah, and so the passage in question is on the back. It's right after the ellipsis where I cut stuff out. The sentence is, there is a whole spectrum between a bumbling, clueless lover and alleged predators like Weinstein and Trump. So, where is the statement of fact in this? What is being stated? Alleged predators. So, are those two individuals alleged to be predators?
Yes.
So they have been alleged to be predators. Whether they are or not, separate question. But this is something that you'll see people in the media do a lot, right? If somebody is brought into a trial, right? Let's say somebody's being tried for murder. You cannot call them a murderer, right? Then you would be on the hook for libel if they're proven innocent. And that's a huge defamatory, right? So this is very, very careful, wise wording. And my guess is that an editor went through this and read clueless lover and predators like Weinstein and Trump and went, oh God, no. Let's get a weasel word in there, right? And I call them weasel words. They're not weaseling so much as they are being accurate, right? If those allegations have been made, then it is alleged.
And I'm guessing it wouldn't change even though that Weinstein's not convicted.
So you could now identify him as a predator, right? And that would be clear. But Trump is still, right? There's been nothing proven in a court of law, so that has to stay alleged. Olivia? Mm-hmm.
Grace is just a student. So is that considered the plaintiff to be identified?
Right. So the question is, could Grace be sued? And the answer is no, right? Unless you can clearly and obviously identify Grace as an individual, in which case, yes, you could say she wrote through this pseudonym and therefore she is the defendant. But unless we know her actual name, no, you can't sue Grace. Not without identifying herself. Generally. Sometimes in this case, it would be difficult to justify, probably. The judge in me says that would be difficult to justify. Okay. I'd love to talk more. It is time to get out of here. I just want to clarify. Chapter 11 quiz due Wednesday. Make sure you're on that. Make sure that if you owe me, if I looked at your written version, that you turn that in for the debate briefs, and from now on you get them typed and emailed to me. And then other than that, there are three things that I didn't mention related to libel that I'll need to cram in on Wednesday, but other than that, we'll be moving on to chapter 11, dealing with intellectual property. Okay? I will see you on Wednesday. Good job today. I'll look at your notes, and y'all just take pictures of your notes and email them to me. Okay? Other than that, I'll be back here in just a minute once I get everybody taken care of. You're free to go, though. Let's see. Who's got notes for me? Come on, he does. Thank you. Who else? Drew. That's fine.
That was
Good. Sure. Roosevelt. Thank you. Hogan. Thank you. Okay. You're gonna miss a lot of chapter 11, guys. So make sure to get in there deep, and if you have questions, just you guys can come. Okay. Hi. Olivia, thank you much. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. Yes, Diane. Okay, Kiana, thank you. Chandler, thank you. That's fine. Time, thank you. Talia, thank you. Jorge, thank you. Tina, thank you.
We gotta talk about our topic again.
First of all.
You think so? Y'all should, we should talk about it. Yeah, looks good. Thank you. Thank you. That's good. Are you emailing to me? Okay, you can keep it then. Otherwise, I'll just. Olivia, yes. That's good. Looks good. Go to the John Dickerson thing tonight. Yes, 7:30 over in the theater. He's from CBS. He's a big deal. It should be fantastic. We have not. Since we've been here, we haven't had a speaker that I'm this
Is that
excited
extra
about.
credit?
No, because I didn't tell everybody, and I don't typically do extra credit. But it's definitely worth going to if you can. Yeah, he's got the student run in the afternoon. Yeah. It should. Hopefully, he's probably used to it, right? Because he's a big everything deal. It's very cool that he's here. Done the dumb thing and published it without making changes. That would have been your best defense. Yes, because right, that raises the bar that the people who have been libeled would have to.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. You bet. Kelsey, thank you. Uh-huh. For a citation, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I can find it with that. Yeah, do email. I think so. Yeah. Do you think that would be helpful to your teammates? Okay, then yeah. Good. You bet. Hey. If you have any questions, just holler. And if you have any feedback as to how this went, just, I don't know, I'll ask you Monday. Yeah, you don't have to stay here. Yeah, okay. I don't have anything else. They're waiting to come in, so email me. Bye. End the stream. Bye.